Hey guys, Nick here. Today I'm going to walk you through how to do the equivalent of a vlookup in Knime, which really is just a join, which if you've ever written SQL queries, you should have no issues with this. So first off, we're going to be working with these two data files. First is the HR hours worked, or the HR hours file, where you see the employee names, the hours worked, and what time periods we're looking at. And then in the HR details file, which is the second one we're going to be working with, you have the employee names, the department they work in, their salary hour, where they're located, their healthcare plan, and whether they work from home. You know, given that this post-COVID era, I think is spurring a new work from home wave. But anyways, we're basically going to try to do a vlookup where we bring in from the employee details file, we want to bring in the salary hour over to the employee or the HR hours file. So eventually we can calculate what each employee's pay is for each time period we have in this file. So we know in Excel we do a simple, in Excel we do a simple vlookup. Just vlookup the salary hour over to this file based on the employee name, right? Well, let me show you guys how we'll do it in Knime. So first, to get started in Knime, let's bring in both data files. So over in your node repository section, down click on this IO, down click on the read, and then drag and drop this Excel reader node, and we're gonna name this the HR hours, and then we're gonna double click to configure this node. So first we'll go to browse, we're gonna go to Excel tutorials, and then we're gonna click on the HR hours file, and then I want the column headers to be the column names, the headers in Excel to be the column names in Knime. So I'm going to click on this little box over here next to table contains column names in row number 1. So then after we do that, hit refresh over here. So now the header is the column names in Knime, right? So we'll hit OK. So you can see now that the node is in yellow status, or it means it's been configured and it's ready to execute. But before we do that, I'm going to copy this node, paste it, and now I'm going to rework this one for our HR details file. So double click into it. Only thing we're going to change now is the file we're pointing at. Change to the HR details, hit OK. Looks like it refreshed our preview table, so we're good now. Hit OK. So now that both of our files are both of our Excel reader nodes are in executable mode, we can right click and execute, and now you can right click onto each node and look at the output table. So it looks just like our Excel files. So now we're ready to start joining these. And like I said, if you've ever written SQL before, this is basically a join. So in your node repository, you're going to type in join, look for the joiner node. This joiner node, what you're going to do is take the output from the Excel reader, click on it, and drag. Give me one sec. Click, drag, and drop it onto the input of the joiner node, right? Click, drag, drop to the input of the joiner node. Just a heads up, the top input is the left table, the bottom input is for the right table. And this is important when, if we double click on our joiner node, we set up our configuration. This is important when you look at what type of join you want to do. So essentially, if you've ever written SQL before, you probably know these different types of joins. If you haven't, just a very high level overview. The inner join means given these two tables, where they match on X criteria, give me the combination of both tables where they match on the X criteria. what the left join or the left outer join says. For what you're going to do is I want everything from the left table, but then from the right table, I want you to bring in any details from where there's a match on that X column that we delineate, which we call a key, or in Excel is that lookup value column, right? The right outer join is the same thing, except I'm saying I want everything from the right table, but then where there's a match, where there's a match on the key from the left table to the right, bring over the details from the left table and add it to the right table. And then the full outer join says, pretty sure, I'm not too well versed with this one, but I'm pretty sure the left outer join just jam packs both files together. But I would say do a quick Google search on the full outer, because don't quote me on that one. The left, right, and the inner joins, I'm on the money with that. But the full outer, I've never had to run that one. Or actually, I might have, but yeah, do a quick Google search on that one. But anyways, we're going to do a left outer join because I want all the details from the HR hours table, and then I want to bring in the details from the HR details, the details from the HR details. I want the salary hour from the HR details, so I'm going to bring in the salary hour whenever there's a match on this column that we delineate here. And we're going to match based off of, if we go back to our two Excel files, we're going to match based off of emp name and employee name. So basically the employee names, right? Because this is what we would use as our lookup value in our vlookup, would be the employee name. And that's because we don't have any other columns that match from this table to this table, right? Here we have hours worked, the month, the year, and the week. Whereas here we have the department, salary hour, the state, their healthcare plan, and whether they work from home. So there's no other matches here. If there were, then we'd have to delineate those in this configuration of the joiner node. So first we're going to delineate, we want to match employee name to emp name. If there was more matching columns, you hit this plus button, and then you just match up where there's similar columns, or when you talk in SQL queries, you call them where there's similar keys. But since we know here the hours worked will never match department, we're going to get rid of this. Hit this minus sign. It's not really something we're going to match on. We know we can only match on employee name to emp name. So we've got that set up. Finally, we got to go up top over here to this column selection tab. Click on this, and this is where you delineate which columns from each table you want your output table to be made up of. So here I want everything from the left table, the employee hours table, or the employee hours file. So I'm going to keep this check mark, always include all columns, because I really don't want to remove any of these. From the HR details, I really only want the salary hours. I don't want the emp name, the department, the location, or the other details. So I'm going to unclick this, get rid of everything. So everything's in the exclude, but then I'm just going to go back to salary hour and then include that. I'll hit OK. Actually, I don't know if I had to hit apply. You can hit apply or OK. OK, all right. So it doesn't matter which one. So now you can see the node has the yellow light, so it's ready to be executed. And it's configured basically. So now that we've configured, we'll execute. Green means you executed. Now we can right click and we can see what our join table shows. But just to get a visual ahead, if we go to our Excel files, we know George, right? Whenever we see George in the new output of the two files, whenever we see George, we're going to want to see his salary hour. Where's George at? His salary hour, or his salary per hour, to be $57. So whenever there's a record of George in this HR hours, we need to see the salary hour be equal to 57, because then we'll know our join, or call it our vlookup, was successful. So let's look at that join table. Now if we look for George over here, he worked 57 hours, which is kind of a coincidence, and then his salary hour is 57. So that's definitely a coincidence. So now let's double check and make sure our hours worked are not all set to 57, because then we know we'd have an issue. So we're going to sort by the employee name. We're going to sort, was that this ascending? Yeah, from A to Z. Yeah, so it's ascending. We're going to go down till we find George. There he is. Okay, so now notice for George, his hours worked all tend to vary. He had 63 one week, 48 another, 59, 65, 57, 27 hours worked. That's probably a nice chill week for him. Where his salary hours consistently 57, right? So now we double checked, and you can see that our joiner node successfully brought together the details we wanted to see. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is how you do an equivalent vlookup in Knime. In the next video, we're going to go through how do we now take this salary hour and multiply it by the hours worked. So for every period in this table, we can figure out what George and every other employee's total pay was for the week or for the period. But anyways, folks, if you have any questions, just drop it in the comment and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Otherwise, share this with your friends. Start moving from Excel to Knime. I'm telling you, it's much better. It's much better, and it's much more efficient, and it's easier to keep track of your workflows. So share this with your friends who are still in Excel. And like always, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and I'll catch you guys in the next video where we look at how much each employee's pay was each period in this table. All right, guys, I'll catch you on the next video.